guys!
Hey y'all!
Welcome back to Y'all Hear Me This. My name is Kay. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us.
Yes, and my name is Honeybee, or you can call me B, and whichever you choose is alright with who? Us. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So we are at our podcast for today. So every
Yes.
Wednesday we do a little bit of a deeper dive into a certain different group.
We sure do.
This week we did SF9. They won a podcast poll.
Mhm.
And I knew them a little bit from Kingdom, but didn't know much going in. So this was a lot of fun. So yeah, we do a couple MVs. We watch a dance practice and a live. We do watch a guide, and then we do our podcast. So thank you so much for joining us.
Period. Welcome on back, y'all.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, what did you think about what we saw this week?
So yeah, let's definitely get into it. So first and foremost, I definitely love SF9. I feel like they're all super talented. I think the one of the biggest takeaways from as a whole that I took is that they really are like a band of brothers.
Yeah.
Like the way that they treat each other, the way that they poke fun at each other, the way that they just get on each other. It just reminded me, I come from a family of all boys, and like my mom was the only girl in our immediate family. So like I come from having two older brothers, and I just like watching them just reminded me, especially when it came down, when actually I'm just pulling up the list of names, y'all.
Sure.
Because when it came down to the youngest Chani.
Yep.
Chani. Okay. When it came down to Chani, I was like, I really felt
because I was food and took it.
That was me all day.
The blankets.
Yes, like the blankets, like the whole thing was just everything. I really like just it. I felt like this guy really showcased, it really focused on them as like a group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just their interactions. I wish the guy would have gotten more into the musical aspect, because I would have loved to know like if they self-produce some music or if they self-choreograph, because they all are super talented.
Yeah.
Like in all those aspects. So it was just like, like I really would, you know what I mean? And I think the other thing that I took away from this group, which is another thing I wish they would have touched on, I feel like out of all the groups that we've covered, this is the group with the most rappers for some reason.
Yeah, I know. I think there were like 4.
And I was like, well, like the ratio, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's super dope. And I just kind of want to know, like, was that intentional? Like, how did that come about? Was that just something last minute that was like, you know what, all these guys can rap? It would be dope to have such, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, but those were my biggest takeaways. As far as like my favorite members, like I love them all, but the ones that stood out to me is In Song. Super duper loved him.
Yeah.
I loved, is it Daewon?
Daewon, yeah.
Daewon, I liked him. Is he, and then Rowan.
Rowan.
Oh, Rowan. He's the tallest, right? The 6'4".
Yeah.
It was either him or
no, Zuho, right?
Was it Zuho?
I can't remember now.
I don't, or maybe it was Zuho. I couldn't remember.
I think it's Zuho.
I think it is Zuho. It is Zuho.
The one that's 6'4", but they're all very tall.
They're all super tall, but like, oh my God, Zuho definitely stole my heart. I have a thing for like super tall, deep voices. Like it catches my attention. Not even from like, oh, like he's fine because he is fine. Yeah. But like it more so, it just, I don't know why it just catches my attention. And so I just really was like, okay. But I think it was either In Song or Jae-woon who the like comedic delivery is like what stuck out to me. So it was just a band of brothers. I just loved them. But what about you, girl? What was your takeaway? What did you like? All that.
Yeah, so I really vibed with In Song and Daewon too, especially In Song with his awkwardness. Like that is me like all day long. And I loved like them being like super funny together and everything, you know. They definitely had like a super like great like aesthetic together, you know what I mean? Like you could tell that they spent a lot of time together and developed their own senses of humor around each other kind of thing, you know? So that was awesome. I did really like Zuho too because he was almost like the gentle giant, you know?
Yeah.
It was so funny, that whole part where they were like so afraid to wake him up, but then he was like the sweetest guy. Like, he just kind of let them carry him out into the hall.
I know.
Someone like shoved a piece of bread in his mouth.
That's the thing that took me out.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they really, you could tell they have a lot of fun together, which is awesome. Like I had said before, I know a couple of them from dramas. So that was cool to kind of get to know them more, their music, you know? Mm-hmm. And this was great, too, after watching Kingdom. Just because, like I said, when I was going into Kingdom, I was so, like, you know, it was 80s and Stray Kids, and then B2B kind of won their way into my heart, and Icon a little bit, and the boy, you know. But, yeah, and I liked their performances on Kingdom. It wasn't that at all, you know. It was just, for, you know. Right, you know when you love a certain group and they're on, then that's what you're going to focus on. Exactly. But yeah, no, it was, I liked them on the show too. And you could tell they put in a lot of hard work and stuff into their performances. But yeah, I really like them as a group in general. I like what we heard. The couple songs they were playing, especially ones that had like way more kind of electronic sounds, I definitely want to find out. Because that's kind of my jam, you know? So I'd love to hear more of that. But yeah, I like everything that we've heard so far for sure. I'm definitely gonna throw some stuff on my playlist. I can't wait.
Yeah, I definitely like some of the stuff that we heard, and I also really like just their ability to be eclectic, but also like still have their own signature kind of sound. Yep. And it's like you can't even put your finger on it because they just touch base in so many different things. Yeah. So. Yeah, I know, because you couldn't get like a sense of. Well, I think I find that in K-pop a lot. You know, is that there are so many genres within K-pop and so many groups. Like, it's funny because I always kind of like pinhole certain groups into like different things. So like Icon, I thought it was going to be all rap, but then we had like 80s synthwave and like, you know, ballads and stuff like that, you know. And that's what I think is like the magic of having both like the rappers and the vocalists in the group. Yep. I mean, we saw it with like B2B, like they, you know, have like these amazing vocalists, but then their songs aren't all ballads and kind of that sort of thing either. So, yep. But yeah, I really like them, and I like that they don't have like just one sound, you know? But yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. And yeah, I'm definitely interested in hearing more from them for sure. Yes. And yeah, I think that said Puzzle, the latest one that we watched in the MV, it said it was their 12th mini album. Legit. So they're definitely put out some stuff to get into. So yeah, definitely we always welcome suggestions as to what to check out next for sure. I'm super excited. I've been sitting here just reading you know, because I wanted to look up their discography. Yeah, well, actually, before we get into discography, tell us, I know you read a little bit about we were wondering what SF stood for. Yes. So SF stands for Sensational Feeling. Okay, which I like that. And their group fan name is Peace, right? Is that what? I think so. Okay. Hold on, let me look. I was looking it up and then I think I forgot. Hold on. They do go by the name Sensational Feeling 9. Okay. And obviously the 9 comes from there being 9 members in the group. Yeah. And what I did find really interesting. Fantasy. Sorry, that's their fan name, Fantasy. Oh, come on, Mariah. That's right. So, but it says the group first performed in Japan as a 11-member group. Oh, gotcha. But it doesn't explain where the changes or anything came from. It just said that in May of 2016, they participated in their company FNC's Entertainment Survival Show. Okay, yeah, we saw clips from that. Yeah, dancer band. Competing against another band, and then they won the show. Nice. And the song that was on the show was later featured on their first EP. Okay, cool. Was that Fanfare? It was a song called KO.
Oh, we did the dance practice. Oh, okay. So that's cool. I really like that dance practice a lot. Like that move that they did, like the
oh my god, it looked like almost like a roller coaster or a carousel,
yeah,
or something.
It was
know
really
what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
It looked like those fountains that spin and the like. That's kind of what it. I can't even tell you the muscle memory that took and the strength and the freaking cramps.
Yeah.
Or I would have been like throw the whole thing out.
right.
Like we finna be out.
That's cool. That's what they competed with. Because I mean, how do you compete against that, right?
Like ridiculous. It says that their first album. So yeah, their first actual album was released in 2020.
Oh, okay.
I think. Oh no, this one says 2019, 2000. Okay. So 2017. Yeah, a couple years later.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
A couple years later, they do a bunch of EPs. And what I think it is because there's such a high demand for K-pop groups that to keep relevant, you have to keep putting stuff out,
Facts.
know? And so an EP or a mini album is so much easier to get, you know what I mean? Because you only need 4 or 5 tracks or whatever, you know? And you can just get them out more, you know?
It's crazy, yeah. So the last album or EP that came out was in
January.
January of this year, called The Piece of Nine.
Nice.
But yeah, I just thought that they were really super talented, which kind of led into why I picked the group that I picked for Bee's Nectar of the Week.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell us what Bee's Nectar of the Week is?
So let me break it down.
Okay.
So, Bee's Nectar of the Week, if this is your first time joining us, is a section of the show every week that goes kind of hand in hand with our podcast. So, as Kay was saying, we pick an artist that we feature, and we show some MVs and some practices, live performances. And through all of that, it kind of inspires me to give you guys another group or artist that goes, hand in hand with the artist that we're featuring that week. So I'll kind of give you guys a little bio about them. And it's just basically a group or artist that's outside of the K-pop world. And just give you some ideas just to expand your mind on some more music. So if you like SF9, then you'll definitely like this group that I'll be featuring today.
I'm excited.
And how we usually kick it off is Kay will try to guess who it's going to be. And I think I need a hint.
We're gonna give you
give you a little hint because we be giving hints. Okay?
Yeah. Because I have like one group that kind of immediately sprang to my head, but I don't think so. So
well, okay. Well, then tell me what that one group is.
No, I'm a little embarrassed actually.
Do it.
98 Degrees. Is that seriously the group? Is that seriously the group?
Well, thank you for coming to our podcast. That's the end of our podcast. Bitch, she got it. I've been trying to get her. She got it. I'm a ass up. Wait till these cameras are off. Woo! Woo! I'm an eye turn to you. Woo!
It's so funny. I can't believe I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why, but that's like the vibe I got from them. Like fun. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of a sexy vibe. Like that was kind of like their whole thing. Do you know what I mean? Yes. But like also fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, I picked... That's so funny. I picked 98 Degrees because of them being known to be so eclectic. And I think we as a group, if you know who... Or we as a culture, if you know who 98 Degrees are, like... They have a really interesting upbringing because they definitely, I feel like, got a lot of slack when they first came out because they were one of the first all-white male groups that was signed to Motown Records. So it's very interesting they'll come up and
I didn't know they were on Motown.
Yes, and what's even more interesting, and I'm gonna get into their history, but the reason I also picked them is just because they have a history of just being brothers. You know what I mean? Yeah, actually, two of them in there are actually brothers. Yeah. So it's
Nick and Drew, right? Yeah.
I love that you know that.
Totally useless trivia in my head all the time.
Miss Potter's Head and Moby Lover over here knew the members. I live. So
I don't think I can name you a song, but I'm sure I've heard them.
Yes.
You know
Oh my God.
I mean?
Yeah. So this is the wonderful story of 98 Degrees. Okay. So 98 Degrees, which is stylized as 98 degrees, like you actually see on a thermometer.
That's right.
Is an American pop and R&B vocal group consisting of 4 vocalists. The group's founding member Jeff Timmons, and then brothers Nick and Drew Lachey, and then last member is Justin Jeffrey.
Okay.
The group was formed by Timmons in LA, and although all of its members originate from Ohio, which is really interesting.
Yeah, that is.
Like, what
really,
are the chances of being in LA?
Oh, yeah.
Finding everybody. That's crazy.
But one of the group members put it together. It wasn't like a thing.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
one
gotcha.
of the group members.
That's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. So it says, unlike most boy bands, they formed independently and were later picked up by a record label rather than being assembled by a record label or producer. They have sold 10 million records worldwide and achieved 8 top 40 singles in the U.S.
Wow.
And it says between late 1997 and 2000, the group reached top 20 status on the Billboard U.S. Hot 100 chart with their debut single, which is called Invisible Man. And it peaked at number 13. And then the group's 1999 pop R&B cover of the country ballad I Do Cherish You peaked at number 16.
Gotcha.
The group successfully charted in the U.S. top 5 with singles Gimme Just One Night, Una Noches, and Because of You, and The Hardest Thing, and of course, the big duet, not debut single, but duet single from Mariah Carey's 1999 album Rainbow, and the song is called Thank God I Found You, featuring Joe. And that song alone was their first and only #1 song, was the one by Mariah Carey. So yeah, like I said, the group formed in the early 90s. And they went on to release their debut album after signing with Motown Records. I'm just kind of skimming over because they have a really big bio, so trying to break it down a little bit smaller, right. Consolidate, or whatever you want to call it.
That's right.
So the debut single was Invisible Man, which is a super dope track, so definitely listen to that off their debut album. But they actually really, like, that was the main song off their debut album that everybody knows. And they also opened when they debuted, which I think really helped them skyrocket, was they opened for Janet Jackson's The Velvet Rope Tour.
Nice.
And it really exposed them to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Especially with Janet crossing boundaries, I think it really helped.
And I love too that puts them way more into the R&B realm versus like boy band pop realm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I love that too.
Yeah.
It really did, like, because Janet in itself, like, Janet spoke to pop, R&B, dance, all of it. So I think it was just like you said, it was perfect just to expose them to like another audience.
Yeah, exactly. A whole new demographic. Yeah.
For real. So what helped them break out and break through or started getting notoriety is in the late 90s, specifically when they released a song called True to Your Heart with Stevie Wonder for the movie Mulan.
Okay.
And
the Disney movie Mulan?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. True to Your Heart. And that song blew them up, and then they released their second album, which is called 98 Degrees and Rising. Right. And the whole album was produced with different musicians, including Babyface.
Oh, nice.
And the first song off that album, Because of You, is what blew them up. It went to number 3 on the charts, and it was also featured on all of the Now mix CDs. If you guys remember the Now CDs and Now volume.
I'd have to hear it to
yeah. We would definitely have to play it. Which is like, it's so funny when you hear it, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I remember that song.
Yeah. I'm sure I do. Like, I totally remember them.
Right.
But yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head, you know?
I feel that. So they also had, off that album, The Hardest Thing, and they also had I Do Cherish You. Mm-hmm. All of these songs ended up leading to a Christmas album that was released, and then they came out with the Mariah Carey duet, and then they came out with their third album in 2000, which had one of their highest ranking singles, Give Me Just One Night, Una Noches. And then they had another compilation come out. But in 2003, the group took went on a hiatus, and Drew Lachey stated that 98 Degrees had not broken up. Mm-hmm. And during this time, Drew and his wife had their first daughter, and shortly right after that, he ended up winning the second season of Dancing with the Stars. Nick Lachey famously married Jessica Simpson and released 2 solo albums, which is called Solo and What's Left of Me. Sorry. And then Timmons released a solo album called Whisper That Way and participated in a TV show on VH1 called Mission Man Band, which I kind of remember. I think it was one of those things where they were trying to create a supergroup.
Gotcha.
And brought back.
Gotcha.
But I could be wrong, but I kind of remember it having something to do with that. And then Jeff of the group actually ran for mayor of Cincinnati and worked on independent media projects. Cool. And then they ended up reuniting in 2012, doing this mixtape festival in Pennsylvania, which ended up, and it was supposed to be a one-off thing, but because of the notoriety behind it, they ended up doing a Today Show performance, and it kind of kickstarted their reunion.
Okay.
So in 2003, they appeared on The View with New Kids on the Block and Boys to Men, and they went on the Package Tour, which was 12 members of, it's like this mega group. So it was Boys to Men, New Kids on the Block, and 98 Degrees.
Oh, that's
and they
fun.
called themselves jokingly the Dirty Dozen. And then also they did the My 2K tour, which was with O-Town, Ryan Cabrera, and The Dream.
Ryan Cabrera. Do you remember the hair?
Oh my God. They came out with their second Christmas album, and they also came out with their first album in 13 years, called 2.0 in 2013.
Nice. Very cool.
And yeah, they just continue to perform as a group. They still tour as a group. The last newest single they released was in 2021, called Where Do You Want to Go? And then they also featured on Brett Kissel's single Ain't the Same, which came out in April of 2022.
Nice.
And it says that they are currently on tour.
Nice.
So, yes, 98 Degrees. They're very eclectic. They're very touch-based, and they're known for their vocals. Mm-hmm. They definitely have that, like that barbershop quartet type of vibe. And, you know, they definitely got a lot of flack when they first came out, especially being signed to Motown, being an all-white, you know, singing group. But they let their talent speak for themselves, and it grew. And, you know, regardless of how people feel about them individually, because I will say I feel a little salty towards Nick Lachey.
Yeah.
And it's only because he was on The Masked Singer.
Yep.
And JoJo was on The Masked Singer. Uh-huh. Shout out to JoJo. And it came down to those top two, and Nick beat JoJo. Oh, and in my opinion, not just because I'm a JoJo fan, but JoJo sings the house down. Okay? Like, sings. Okay? And not that Nick can't sing.
Yeah.
But, like, he wasn't doing what JoJo was doing. I'm sorry,
those shows where people vote, it's all, yeah.
Because I was
it's never people that I want to win, I'll put it that way.
That whole part.
Yeah.
That whole part.
Yeah.
Like, I really wasn't salty. And I also was a little salty towards, and again, it's all about what the media feeds to you and stuff. We don't know their personal relationship. We don't know what happened behind closed doors. But just from an outsider looking in, I felt some sort of way about how Jessica Simpson was treated when that whole thing went down, because I just felt like she got shitted on, and it just was not right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I remember the show happening and all that. Newlyweds, was it called, or something? Yeah. And I remember the whole Chicken of the Sea and, like, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, Buffalo Wings, that was what it was. But I mean, she seems to have come out on the other side okay.
Definitely,
so,
yeah. I mean, she definitely went through her stuff. He definitely, he ended up marrying, and I think they're still together because they actually have shows together on Netflix now.
What's her name? She was a VJ.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. She married a VJ from MTV named Vanessa.
That's right, Vanessa.
I can't think of her last name.
I mean, neither.
But they have kids together, and they've been married for years.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny because they touch base on their relationship on one of their shows. Because my best friend who does my hair, she loves shows like that. And we were watching one time, and it talked about how... I feel like Vanessa talked about how one time, like she was talking about how to deal with people in relationships, like how to not just want to run away or walk away and deal with people's baggage, so to say. Yeah. And I feel like there was a part where she talked about how there was like a point in time she was thinking about leaving him, or there was just things about him that just whatever. And then, she talks about working through that, whatever. But it just made me think, like, I just remember how when the whole Jessica Simpson thing happened, it was just like, because he is Nick and he is like the dreamy, like everybody looked at him like a certain way, like top model, Abercrombie and Fitch type of situation.
Oh, that's right.
And people like loved him. So it was just like, no matter what, it was just all on Jessica. Yeah. And it was just like, and it bothered me because I was like.
Shows like that I just don't like. Like, if people are in on the joke, then okay. But just watching someone truly be themselves, but like
be the butt of a joke and not realizing the butt.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know how much of that is true.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we don't know what happened behind. And obviously, Jessica Simpson is very smart. She has businesses and like, do you know what I mean?
Like billion-dollar businesses.
Exactly. So. It's not that she's not intelligent,
at all.
So who knows what the vibe was and all that
behind the scenes and all that.
Yeah, it's just not. That's just not my type of show. It's just not my type of thing. So
it's just. I think it's just more so for me. I just hate when you see somebody being like. First of all, you see people's personal... This is a really good segue into like a say what section. Okay. All right, this is going to be a little... Say what? Mm-hmm. This is a little palate cleanser. It could be about the same topic or it could be about something completely different. Yep. Which in this case is kind of different. Same topic. I don't know. Yeah. But I always find it... And I kind of want to know... How do I say this?
Okay.
When relationships are played out in public.
Yes.
Right? And you are that caliber of a celebrity. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people say, and we're using Jessica Simpson's Nick Lachey as one, when they went through their divorce, right? And the way that it was kind of played out in media, it was almost like Jessica, like I was saying, was getting the shit end of the stick, right? Mm-hmm. Now, again, it's media. We all just could take it with a grain of salt, whatever, because at the end of the day, nobody knows what really happened unless you were either Jessica or Nick.
Right.
But just the way that it was portrayed, it just almost made it seem like Nick was the victim, when in reality, there was like a bunch of things that were out there about like the way Jessica was being treated, or maybe the things that Nick was doing behind the scenes with other people, and whatever the case may be. But I just remember when all that went down, everybody, specifically, obviously Nick, was really bothered because he was like, unless you know what really happened, like how can anybody speak on our relationship? Which is true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you chose to be in a public light. So now you've left yourself open.
To an extent, yes.
But you've left...
But here's my point, though. To an extent, yes. Like, anything that happened on the show, fair game. Do you know what I mean? Because they signed up for that. That was whatever. Their divorce, they did not have a show called Divorce Newlyweds that went through all their divorce stuff. So there's a point where... Because people in the public eye are always going to be in the public eye. Mm-hmm. And to an extent, yes, they sign up for that. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To an extent. Mm-hmm. But something like that, I'm sorry, something like that, something like a death in the family, something like, you know what I mean? Like there's, especially if they've come out and asked people to just leave it.
Yeah.
You know, I just, it feels awful. And don't get me wrong, I love gossip as much as the next person.
As long as it ain't involving us. I know that's right. Listen.
Even if it is involving us. But, I love gossip. I do. But there's something icky about wanting to insert yourself into someone's, like, awfulness. You know what I mean?
So, I guess my question would be, so let's say all this happens, right?
Uh-huh.
And Jessica Simpson is now being portrayed out there as the person that ruined her marriage or this or that. And all this is being said, right? And Nick Lachey comes out and is like, you know what? This is our private thing. I'm not going to speak on it. I'm just going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
And Jessica can't even make anything, or she doesn't even say anything because she's the one that's getting the blunt end of it, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, is it okay? Like,
what do you mean? Is it okay?
That Nick didn't say, you know what? Why don't we stop trying to play the blame game, because this is our situation. So, me and Jessica are not together anymore, and I really wish that everybody would stop trying to blame her or this, because it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
Like, this is our situation. So I would really hope that my fans are not attacking her and this and that, and like, we really should. This is hard for both of us, and I think that we should just.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Would that have been a great thing to do? Right. Yes, but at the same time, I can understand why he didn't even want to give anything out, because as soon as you give like something, people want more.
Which is true, I mean? But like, you don't gotta let her just kind of.
Yeah. But again, we don't really know.
Right. But I'm saying based off of what we've seen, I just feel like that it's just, I feel like as a man, like, I think that you should just be that person to just step forward and just be like, you know what?
Yeah. I mean,
let's just leave it.
To an extent, I think, sure. Especially if the situation was like we think it is, what I mean? For sure. I
just feel like it's just, it didn't leave me.
But here's the thing though. Yeah. Is it on Nick or is it on the crazy public?
That they're talking about it? Or like, what do you mean?
Like, is it on Nick to say that, or is it for people to not be awful?
I think it's both.
Right.
I think it's people need to not be awful, but I do think that when, again, you're in that much of a public space, like, that, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you wanted to reach some sort of fame, not saying that this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's a big thing, because people want to be famous, but they don't want to deal with that type of fame. But like, it's a part of it. So like, when you get that high, that that's potentially something that could happen. So
well, so many artists too, like, and I'm not saying this is about him, because obviously they sign up to do a TV show and all that sort of stuff. So there's a level of fame obviously that he wanted more than just making music, because so many artists do just want to make music. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But if they blow up, then they have the fame that comes with it. And a lot of people can't handle it.
Which is why people have really good PR teams and all that. Because they'll be like, we're gonna shut this shit down before it even.
Yeah, and who knows too if he wanted to come out and say something, someone on his PR team was like, no,
That's true. That's true.
It all depends on like who you surround yourself with. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know either of them.
Right.
But he seems like a decent enough guy.
Right. I think they were young at the time.
Exactly.
They were in their 20s.
I don't think there was any animosity.
Right.
Again, I really don't know much about.
That'd be actually interesting if people still held a grudge. That's the thing that gets me about celebrity, and like, speaking of divorces and just anything that comes with celebrity.
Yeah.
That is the thing that gets me the most, because it's like, it really comes down to like people picking sides. And it's just like, the world really, like, as if y'all know each other personally. It's the craziest thing what celebrity can do to the public. Like, this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I was all in my feelings. Like, I do, Jessica. Like, I'll be talking the other day. Talk about, girl, you okay?
Yeah.
You want me to bring? You want me to bring something over, girl?
Yeah, some ice cream.
What you want? Like, and I'm sitting here like, I don't even know this girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For all I know, she can hate. Listen, she can hate black people. She can hate this. Not true. Yeah. But it's just like, it could be like one of those things that you're really repping hard for somebody that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Sounds like what people do in politics in this country. But like, it's just like, but it's just like one of those things where it's just like, I don't know. It's just the power of celebrity, how it intrudes into people's personal lives. It's like, how do you truly deal with that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you find that form of like something like as sacred as a divorce or whatever? Like, how do you just navigate that in this type of
Yeah,
world?
it's tough. And each person has to kind of figure that out for themselves and make some missteps. And, you know, like I think that's what we have to like realize about celebrities and idols and all sorts of stuff is that a lot of them are kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're young. They don't know necessarily, you know, and they're going to say some stupid crap and they're going to do some stupid things, you know, so many people have, you know, and what counts is if they grow, if they learn from their mistake and they grow and they take full acceptance of it and responsibility for it, and they then move on. It's happened to so many people.
I have a question then.
Okay.
Because this is really interesting too. We getting deep because I'm like, I really find this stuff really intriguing because I really feel like for whatever reason this is gonna speak to somebody. So do you feel that when something like that happens between two people, or just something in general happens between two people, and you know somebody grows from that situation, whether they were the one that was at fault or not, right? Do you feel like, let's say years down the line or however long down the line, do you feel like if that person that, let's say, was in the wrong or contributed to the fallout, and let's say they've learned and they're like, you know what, I really fucked up and, you know, I'm going to learn from this or whatever. And at that point, they're like, yo, let's say Nick was like, yo, I really did Jessica wrong, da-da-da. Do you think it's appropriate for them if they wanted to reach out and be like, listen, I just wanted to let you know? Or do you think that would be more detrimental because the situation's already done and over with?
So no, I think...
And it's like, you know what I mean? I think they should reach out, but that's just
I think it's super important for you to reach out. If you have... And again, it depends on the situation, of course. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about
whether
someone
it's divorce,
who like
friendships ending.
I'm not talking about someone who like murdered your son or something. Oh
yeah, no, fuck that, no.
I just mean like
dead.
Yeah, divorce or something like that.
Right. Like fallout stuff. Like that.
Yeah.
We're not talking about
yeah, shade thrown.
Right, like you done stole my pearls, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think it's super important to reach out because there's something. Because people have done that to me in the past, reached out and said, hey, look, you know, this happened, blah, blah, blah. And this is, you know, I'm feeling like this now. And, you know, I apologize and this and that. And I've tried to do that, you know, if I've done things in the past, you know, I'm definitely not perfect. And I think it makes a huge difference. I think it really helps someone kind of a closure. I hate that word because it's tough and it almost never happens really, you know, but it does give you that sense of like completeness. And, you know, those people were in your life for some reason, you know what I mean? And it may not be healthy to like have them back in your life afterwards, but at least you can feel like that sense of like peace with them. Like that's like done. You guys have discussed it. It's over. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think it's super important if you feel like you've wronged someone to reach out and say so.
Yes.
And but you cannot expect someone to forgive you. You have to be able to say you're sorry and know that you did your part and not, you know, that other person doesn't have any...
They don't owe you anything.
They don't owe you anything.
Right.
So you have to also know that you may not get a, that's okay, I forgive you kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And that's tough because of course you want that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
I definitely feel that.
Well, I think we went about...
Lessons.
I know. I think we went about as far from SF9 as possible.
We really did.
We really did. We really did.
We went all the way. Well, you know what? It's all about sensational feelings.
That's right.
And that's
sensational feelings.
Okay, and
we've got 9 of them.
Right, and that's what it comes down to. It comes down to protecting sensational feelings and valuing their importance and what they bring into your life and what your sensational feelings that you create and you bring into other people's lives.
Yep. And well, that we were even during the guide, the leader had, I think it was in song, he had said something kind of harsh to him about the dance.
Yeah.
But then, you know, he had a feeling, so he went out out and they talked and they worked it out. And that's it exactly. That's exactly what people just
communication.
Need to do. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Down. So, and that's why, we bring it all the way back down and back around to SF9, because it's just like that is what I feel like it's just missing out of life. It's just communication. Yep. We need to communicate so we can create sensational feelings with each other.
That's right.
Point blank, period.
That's right.
And that's why we have SF9.
Yeah, I really, really like them. I'm so excited we got into them. And yeah, this was a great discussion. I enjoyed it.
We hope you guys enjoyed it too.
Yes, definitely. We love you so much.
Love you guys so much.
We can't wait to get into more groups. Definitely leave us some suggestions for SF9.
Yes, please do.
And we'll see you soon.
Yes, love you guys.
Bye-bye.